So I recently did a video talking about the healthiest tomato I've ever grown in my life. And I very specifically only spoke about the containers themselves that I potted the plants up into. I didn't go into too much nuance in regards to temperatures or lighting or fertilizer or soil or anything like that. And there was a ton of requests on that video asking to go over exactly that. So today's video, I'm going to teach you exactly what I did to make this bad boy. His thickness is thicker than my finger. He's got some flower clusters on here. We'll talk about that. There's some confusion around why I would want that or why I have that, I guess, etc. and so forth. So you guys do know that I was running an experiment based off that first video I had done. And all my plants are tagged in different tags. So I have a numbering system, if you will, on the plants themselves. This one's got a yellow one. This one's got a pink one. There's a blue one. And in any case, those tags, I will grab one for you. I got these bad boys off Amazon because that's what you do in your spare time. And you can see that they're pretty easy to set up. You just kind of put them through here, you pull them, and then you can cinch them up as like tight or loose as you want them. I was just left them on the last one and because it just needs to stay on. And then on this portion of the tag, you can write stuff down on it if you'd like to for the experiment that you're running. So great example of that here is I put a black dot on all the tags that had tomatoes started from the original kind of Vigo seed starting cells. And a really great example of that, I don't know if you can see him in the background there, this bad boy is from kind of that whole same family, if you will. That's just absolutely killing it in the plant world. So that's a great example of it. You can write down things. So like observations you've had when it first flowered, you can put like a flower and then put June 5th, whatever the case is. And you can document for this specific plant what you want to do. Now, this is really nerdy shit. So you do not need to do this. It's not necessary to grow happy, healthy tomatoes. But what you can do with that information after you have it is you can either pivot your garden and how you design it. You could actually save seeds from the plants that are giving you phenotypic expressions that you enjoy. So for example, if you like a phenotype that blooms earlier and produces earlier, then voila, you've got your pick because you have your tag that says that. Maybe you like bigger tomatoes, maybe one produced a fruitier tomato, maybe one was more resistant to a diseased patch, all that sort of stuff. That's stuff you would put on this tag that then would help you kind of navigate what's the best plant, if you will. So for right now, all I've got on my plants is I've got them color-coded based on the container size that they were potted up into. And then I have a dot referencing one very specific seed starting setup I had. Not all of them, because the rest of them coming out of the trays seem similar. Maybe that was foolish on my part. Maybe I should have gotten more in depth. I'm choosing not to. So there's always next year, right? That's the beautiful thing about gardening. Temperatures with these guys. So I use temperature differential in my greenhouse to help control the temps. So our daytime temps I ensured were low and my nighttime temps were higher than what the daytime temps were. So if the daytime temps were 10, 15 degrees, I would make sure that my greenhouse at night was 25, 30 degrees, much hotter, I know, but that is what you get this really thick stem from. This bad boy also I placed on the ground. So when it started getting really warm here, we were hitting 30, 35 degrees Celsius. He came off of the planting racks and he actually went onto the cold cement. And that's actually where I left him. So he still was getting a cooler day, or this bed here. What I'm going to be doing is I have the fertilizer directly planted into the seed hole. And now this is interesting. This is really interesting. I think you guys are going to like this. I wasn't expecting to get results this quickly, but I'm going to take these off here today and I'm going to puppeteer these plants. But if you look at these plants and the heights of these plants, you can see these are the tiny container plants. They're shorter for sure. In this batch here, we have these are yellow tags. So I'll insert on the screen what containers these came out of. And then on this side, we have the pink containers. So this is the pink side. And like I said, the fertilizer for these is kind of in situ. So it's below the root ball and around the root ball. And it's giving much different results than that of the plants over here which were actually mid-row banded. So the mid-row banded plants, you'll notice they're all very uniform. And I expect this because right now where the roots are sitting, the amount of nutrients they have access to is all the same. So they don't have any sort of, rush of nutrients like what those guys do. So the foliage, the size of the plant, everything seems a lot shorter. The actual sturdiness of the plants between the two seem to be the same, meaning that the nitrogen hasn't caused like an immense amount of lagginess in the direct water areas, but the plants are doing pretty healthy. So these bad boys, I have the medium and the small tags in this one. I don't have any of the super tall tags. The reason being is we didn't plant many of the tall tags, the tall kind of container ones. We only did like a dozen of them. The reason we only did a dozen is because my mother-in-law was not for it. She was convinced it was a terrible idea. She thought I was going to kill off all my tomatoes. I wanted to do half of them in that big container because everything I had read and all the research I had done just kind of pointed towards those being rock star tomatoes. She's seen the results. We're changing that up for next year. I think we're okay. Actions speak louder than words, and the tomatoes heard that jargon and decided to capitalize on it this year. So next year, I think I'm going to do more of those larger containers because they very clearly make a very large difference. Now, we'll see if the fertilizing makes a big difference because the mid-row banding is right down the center. So my expectation would be as the roots move into the space, these will really shoot up. Those guys are shooting up right now, and that's due to them being root placed. Now, the question is, when does the plant need the heat? When does the plant need the highest level of photosynthetic foliage? That sort of thing. All of those questions, once they're answered, will help us to determine, does it need it right away versus does it need it later on? And it's a very specific answer. It's a specific answer to a cold climate gardener gardening in a raised bed, etc., and so forth. But other things I can tell you about the success of the plants and how they did so well actually comes down to what soil they were bumped up into and as well as what depths they were bumped up to. So let's just bring this bad boy out once again and show him off. So if you look into the bottom of this container, you can see that the first true leaves are still kind of hanging out. The cotyledons themselves actually were just at that soil surface as well. So when we transplanted these up, the instructions were, despite people not wanting to do it this way because that is not what the internet tells them to do, I said, I promise you, just try it. You can thank me later. So we planted it level with the soil in here. Idea being, we want the soil ball level so then the roots themselves have a lot of blank space, a lot of blank canvas to do what they need to do, such as get really long and full and healthy. So we want more soil to be able to allow for that. Number 2 is that I used Sunshine Mix number 4. That is very, very specific and very, very important. The reason being, I used heavier potting soil in 2 of the containers. It completely snuffed out the tomatoes. It was too heavy. You need a high porosity mix. Sunshine Mix 4 is an example of a high porosity mix. Pro Mix HP is another example of a high porosity mix. Allows for proper aeration, that sort of thing. In the future, I do think he could have been even healthier if more of this container was filled with soil. There's probably a solid 3 inches where the soil was not in there. But again, the person helping me plant these up was very hesitant to do this. There was a lot of fear around giving a tomato a container this size because the worry was that it would drown and die and have a horrible death, which it obviously does not have. So that's number 2. Number 3 is that I actually did fertilize, and I do this for every single one of my plants religiously. So my seedlings, the moment they're bumped up, are no longer seedlings. They are kind of a juvenile plant at that point. And my potting soil does have some nutrients in it. Don't get me wrong. I'm working on a video right now where I got some agar dishes, and I am testing soil at various different depths. I'm testing potting soils, old versus new, to help show you guys visually how much bacteria, fungal growth, all that sort of stuff is on these Petri dishes and is in these kind of systems in and of themselves. It's a good old soil microbiology throwback. But with that being said, it doesn't mean that nutrients is always bioavailable. And one way to really ensure it's bioavailable is via fertilizer. Now, because the roots are so sensitive, I don't like to mix a granular fertilizer in on a seedling, but I do water every single time with fertilizer in it. It's a diluted form of it. I tend to be a little bit more cautious, and I'll do between a quarter to a half strength. You could technically do full if you really wanted to, but I'm comfortable with quarter to a half. You can ask any greenhouse out there. They also do this. It's not just tap water coming out of those hoses. Now, with that being said, when it comes to actually planting these up outdoors, there's a few things that I'm going to do. Number one is I'm not going to remove any of the suckers. The suckers are staying in place. I'm only going to remove the top or the bottom portion leaves, probably 2 to 3 inches. The idea here is I just don't want anything kind of hovering on the soil. So the root ball is going to go completely level with the soil surface. And then if these leaves are touching that soil surface, they will get a nick off and be composted. That's the only time or place that would take place. From there, though, the plant is just going to grow naturally, and I'm not going to remove these suckers unless there's a sign of disease or reason to do so. A lot of people ask me about the flowers. Do I remove the flowers if I'm going to transplant? Here's the thing. If you have your classic tomato, it's kind of wobbly. When I say wobbly, like if you're going to go like this, like the plant folds, it doesn't we're talking a plant that's not even moving. But if your plant's I can't even bend it without snapping it. But if it's really floppy, that plant is a little bit weak. I would probably remove those flowers. A plant like this that is now hardened off, very obviously has a mutant stem, Arnold Schwarzenegger vibe-esque type tomato plant. This plant, you can leave these flower clusters in place. It'll be fine. It's going to have a little bit of more strain on it to figure out its roots and upper biomass and that sort of thing. But it's not going to be much of one because we are planting such a massive root system into a container. It would take a lot of root damage to actually cause any sort of transplant shock with this plant. So I am personally not going to cut them off. Doesn't hurt if you did, but yeah. So you can see it's solid roots. The soil's not even moving. It's cobweb root everywhere. So there's lots there. And yeah, I'm not going to rustle and tussle this root ball. Quite literally going to just plunk it in, and that's going to be it. So if you're curious, you have to let me know in the comments down below if that answers your questions in regards to this bad boy tomato. And I will talk to you guys next time. Bye. One other thing I think it's really important to note is that I did use very specific, maybe not his foliage, but his roots definitely were staying cooler than they would have if they would have been situated in that kind of greenhouse as it normally would. So those daytime temps being low, the nighttime temps being warm are very, very important to getting great results. So